Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 1992 Mercedes 190E. Up front is a 2.6 liter inline 6 and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here 190E for a bunch of reasons. BMW and Mercedes were kind of at each other's throats back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I love the BMW E30 so much, but this was Mercedes' answer to it. And so we're gonna find out today who won the battle of the 90s. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpraedel.com, where you can buy stickers like this retro sticker pack. You could also buy a big friggin' bottle sticker. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 2.6 liter inline 6 under the hood, making 158 horsepower. Well, let's see. It definitely has that nice inline 6 sort of rumble, sort of growl, sort of not quite that of a V8. It's not a full-on scream, but it's there, and it makes sure that you know that it's there. I like that a lot. Now, 158 horsepower isn't really crazy. It's not enough to get in trouble, but that's okay. Like I said, paired to a 4-speed automatic transmission, I'm not completely in love with this transmission because it is a 90s automatic. It's a little lazy here and there. However, this is very characteristic of Mercedes, especially up through the mid-2000s. Their transmissions were not my favorite at all, so to be expected. Last but not least, of course, the 190E is rear-wheel drive. One thing I want to note about the Mercedes is that it handles really, really eloquently. Moving through the corners here, it's a little boaty. It's definitely on the luxurious side. However, once it actually starts to bite into a corner, it'll start following directions like it should. I like that. It is sort of a best of both worlds scenario. While cruising around, you hardly feel the bumps. But then when you get into it, you get into it. So let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of gauges. On the left is coolant temperature and oil pressure, as well as fuel. In the center is my speedometer, and on the right, I have my tachometer and clock. These gauges are very, very early 90s, late 80s, and I love it. The steering wheel has since been replaced. It's actually been replaced with a personal steering wheel with a Williams design, the F1 team, which is pretty sweet. I've been getting into F1 myself, so it's cool to see something like this in a retro throwback car back in Williams' heyday. Off to the left, I have all of my headlight and light switches. I also get rear fog lights, which is great. And on the door, I have my power adjustments for the seats, latch to get in and out, and that's it. Moving into the center, I do have 2 vents. Now, these are not actually climate control vents. These are just meant to pull the air from up in front of the hood into the cabin. That's it. They don't actually produce heat or AC. However, I do have heat and AC controls down below that, very standard. I could set it to recirculating and whatnot. I like the overall look and feel of this, and I like the wood grain as well. Then I have cassette holders because this does have a cassette player, which is very, very typical of the era, and I love that look. And then of course, we have to have our ashtray and cigarette lighter. Moving on to the center console, this is where you will find your window switches, kind of typical of German cars, especially in this era. I have my hazard switches and power mirrors. The shifter, of course, is in the middle. Feels fine, very 90s Mercedes. And then we do get a little handbrake and some cubbies and a center console. However, we don't actually get any cup holders here in the 190E, so it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Now we gotta talk about the seats. Like I said, they're power and they are nice and comfy. They're not really sporty at all. I think if I really want to make this car feel more sporty, I'd tighten the suspension a little bit and get better seats. However, as a daily driver, which this was meant to be, it's very, very comfortable. I just drove over train tracks. I don't even think you heard it on camera, which is fantastic. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a backseat review. All right, so now we're in the back of the 1992 190E. Couple things to note back here. Knee room, good. Headroom, I could do with a little bit more, but that's okay. This wasn't the full size of the Mercedes chassis. Something interesting is that I do have power windows. However, they're mounted flat, like flush up on the door. Kind of interesting there. I do have a center console, no cup holders or anything like that, and the nice tan leather from up front carries on back here. So let's hop around back and do a quick trunk review, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, let's run the back of the 190E, push it in there and just pull up. And that's pretty much it. Nothing really too crazy in the trunk. However, you get tons of space, which is kind of notorious with the 80s and 90s sedans. You get tons of trunk space, which is fantastic. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I really like the look of the 190E. I think it's still somewhat subtle, but it has that nice boxiness of the 80s, which you guys know I absolutely love and makes me smile ear to ear. I also love driving a car, seeing the little Mercedes emblems sticking up on the hood. I think that's fun for me. But now let's get to my thoughts on the 190E from 1992. Well, I really like this car. I think as an enthusiast vehicle now, I think it's great, but also it has that floatiness and you can really put it into a corner too. I have to say I'm overall impressed. Does it break my love for E30s? Not yet, but it's getting there. It's working. I'd say it's about half baked at the moment. Little S corner up here. Oh yeah. That little kick down. It's definitely a fantastic car, and it's interesting to me that these aren't more popular than they are. This is my first time reviewing one after 760 some reviews. Kind of interesting. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Nigil for letting me take out his 190E Mercedes. He is absolutely awesome. I'm filming a couple vehicles from him, so be on the lookout for those on the channel. You're not gonna wanna miss them. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.